welcome to part 2 of setting up the Koha to Koha ILL. My name is Kelly.
And my name is Jessie. And now we are going to show you what a staff member would perform when they're doing the ILL requests, bringing in that information, looking at the bib record in the system, performing that checkout to the patron, bringing that item back and sending it off.
Yeah, this is going to be the more fun part. So the last session, we really did a lot of setup. The one part that we will need to make sure you have, and maybe you've already done this, is we need to create those library accounts in your system as patrons under that patron category code we set up in that first tutorial video. So as long as you have, I'll go to a library, as long as you have your library partner that you're sharing with set up as that category, interlibrary loans, that ILL libs, then you are able to start that process.
Perfect.
Okay. So as Jessie said, we have a new button here on the screen, and that's going to show us all our requests. And of course, you won't have any requests on your first go, but once you start using this process, you'll start to accumulate some requests that are out there. So we might as well just jump in, Jessie, as we are this library, this model library, and we've had a request from one of our patrons to get a book. So we're going to create a new ILL request, and we're just going to create this, hit this button.
Perfect.
Very similar to a Z39.50 search. Keyword, ISBN, ISSN, title, or author is what we're going to use to create a search within the system. Do you have anything we should do? Gardening, maybe? Doesn't really matter.
You know the way after my heart.
So we have Missy, who's going and would like this book from one of our ILL Koha libraries. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick the pickup location, so probably her home location, and go ahead and do that search.
Awesome.
Awesome. So as Jessie talked about in the first tutorial video, we set up 2 targets. So we can see we're getting results from both the Spencer Model 2 Memorial Library, and then further down we have results from the Marie Train. Obviously, you're not going to do this vague search. In yours, you are going to have a specific title, ISBN in mind. But for practice, we're going to show you lots of results. They're going to give you the partner, title, author, ISBN, and then finally on this, go ahead and select this item. Maybe this one. I like this one.
Okay.
Go ahead and request. Okay, Jessie, you want to talk about this screen?
Yeah, so now what it has done is it has located a item for the patron that we made the request. So you can see Missy Hollandish right here. And it's essentially showing us information about the item that we're looking for. So we can see the library where it's going to be sent, East Branch. We can see the status that it's a new request that we're making. The last update is when we searched. The request number is going to be internal. So this is the 13th request that we've made in the system. Down below, we'll see any extra information about the title where we're getting it from. So that ID right there, that 3781, that's going to be the unique bibliographic record of the supplier. So we're getting this from the Spencer Model 2 Memorial Library, and it's bringing in that information. You can also view the display supplier metadata in the upper right-hand corner. That's also going to tell you where this one is coming from. Perfect. Now, the bibliographic record ID. Do you remember in our previous video, we told you about the circulate ILL enabling option for the system preference? This is creating the stub record for us. So Kelly, if we open that up in a new tab just to show them what it looks like, it automatically suppresses the record for us from the OPAC, and it creates that bib record. Oh.
Wham, bam, done, right? Easy peasy. I also love this link here. So if I am here and I say, what is this record in my system or what's going on? I can easily go back and say, oh, it's an ILL request and link back to that ILL request.
Perfect. So now you have a couple other options here. So the first button you'll see is edit the request. So if you need to make any changes, we can show you what that looks like. That allows us to say, oh, we want to switch the library that they're picking up at, or we want to add some notes, staff notes or OPAC notes. And that would go to Missy's account on the OPAC. The other option, of course, we have here is to confirm the request. Once we confirm that request, I'm not sure what it does.
It's going to create a hold on the library we're borrowing from. So the Spencer Model 2 Memorial Library, it's creating a hold on their bib record for us. So in essence, we've now created a bib and now gone and placed a hold on the other record. So should we go and look at that real quick?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Since we have the option to be able to do that, of course, you wouldn't have this option as easily as we do, but we're giving you the behind the scenes look. So 3781, easy peasy.
Since Kelly and I both work at the model libraries.
So there, oh, I haven't hit the button yet. So let's go ahead and hit that button. We said, oh, we needed to hit the button. So Jessie said, if we hit this button, confirm request, that's going to go ahead and place a hold on that bib record at the Spencer Library. So I'm going to reload the page. So if we look at the hold, we can see that this book at this library is on hold for the library that just sent that request. So we're kind of playing two hats right now in this process for you. Once you've confirmed the request, you can see that, and we've seen the hold in that other library, you can see I can revert that request. So if something happened and I need to bring it back, I can certainly do that. I can mark it complete. We're not quite ready to do that piece of the puzzle yet because we need to go through the process of, actually doing that circulation. The next button, checkout. This is attached to that circulate ILL system preference we talked about earlier, that if you enable that, you can simply click this button and do the checkout to Missy. So imagine when the book arrives, you could pull up this ILL request, you have the book in hand, and you can check out right from this screen. If I check out right from the screen, Koha will do everything for me. It's going to create the item. It's going to say, what item type would you like to identify this as? So all your item types will be displayed here. The library pickup will show that we already set up when we created this request for Missy. And then it will allow you to identify a due date if you wanted to. If you don't, Koha is going to look at that circulation rule, Missy's patron category, the item type you've identified, and create that circulation due date for you.
So in this case, we have an ILL item type. So why don't we grab that?
There you go.
We know she's checking it out from the East branch. So it's now going to use that information since we're leaving it blank from our circulation rule.
Perfect. If I hit that submit, we're all set. So let's go ahead and look at Missy's account just because why not?
Yep.
We can do it all right from here. And there it is. There's the book that we borrowed. You can see Koha's created a barcode for me. It's done the checkout and it's given me a due date and we're all set here.
And if you'll notice, the barcode is the number of the ILL request. So you can just go back and easily look at it.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So here's a big view of the record we created earlier, the item type that Koha's done for us. We still have that easy access back to the ILL module. We can see it's checked out. And remember, within the framework, you can identify a note. So when Missy returns the book, we're going to see that it's going to be sent back to a lending library. That's nice. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so now the last step is we'll return to that request and we'll pretend Missy read the book, it's coming back, and now we're going to essentially send it back to the Spencer Model 2 Memorial Library.
So at the end of the process, Missy has returned the book. When we look at the ILL request screen, we can see that now the status, which is really the crux of this process, is where is this book in the status? Where in the process of your ILL, it has been returned to the library. Next shipment, it's right on that bus for you.
And a really good rule of thumb to do when you're setting up that ILL framework, put something in the material specified that says it's ILL. That way your check-in staff know that it has to go back to like technical services or wherever you ship out your courier to send it back to that library.
Absolutely. Yep. So we started with a request from one of our patrons. We searched another library, borrowed that book, checked it out to the patron, she's returned it, and now that ILL workflow has finished. We've put it on a truck and it's all set here.
Now we'll go into Missy's interaction and we will complete it because it has now left the building, it's gone, it's going back to Spencer 2 Memorial Library.
Yep. So once we go to these lists, we can go to manage request and we have this mark completed. One of the system preferences we talked about in the first tutorial was, would you like to remove any of those statuses from this view? And completed was one of those that we did say, hey, once it's complete, take it off this list because it's going to get pretty long and we'd like to only see the ones that are new, maybe checked out or changed, modified, things like that.
Now, question, Kelly, if we go back to Missy's account, can we see the information that she's checked that out before in the past?
Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to pop back over to Missy. You can see she has returned the book. And so you're looking to see if we were able to see her checkout history, if it's listed there. Unfortunately, Missy is a private person and she's not sharing that information with us. Okay. But yes, this would be any other normal transaction within Koha that we would get that stat for circulation for. We are going to definitely want probably libraries to create reports so you can see what you're lending out, what you're borrowing, and that would be listed there as well.
Now let's go back and look at the title that she borrowed. Is that removed from the system automatically or is it still in there?
I believe it's going to still be there. And if you remember the title, you get a gold star, horticulture. So the bib record and the item still exist in the system.
So this could be a simple report that you can set up in the reports module. You can create a new tab for ILL, and then you'll be able to identify items that are completed. You can go in and remove those. Some people like to keep them for end of year stats. You know, these are all things you can do because it's automatically suppressed. So your patrons will not be able to find it in the OPAC, but you can still have it in there and then remove them once you're completed with that ILL.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that little quick button back over. Make back to list results. Okay, should we go one more way where we're not doing that checkout?
All right, so now we're going to make an ILL request. We're going to request from, let's say, the Marie Train 3 library this time. And let's say they don't have a Koha system. What this allows us to do is we can now make a request. Instead of using that circulate function, we're going to send a message to them directly from the system. So perfect, let's make a request.
French Revolutions it is.
And you'll notice before we talked about editing a request, confirming a request, displaying the supplier metadata. You'll notice now that there is a place request with partners. What this does is this will actually send an email directly to the library from the contact information you have in that library's account in the patron module, and it will send them a message. So even if your library does not have Koha, you can still use this to communicate with them and create them in the system.
So it's great to see that a lot of that text is done for you. You can definitely edit that in your notices and slips, but you can see, I can go ahead and choose the library that I want to send it to. This is the subject line, and then it just says, hey, we'd like to borrow this book. And then we can go ahead and send that email. Jessie, I was thinking about something that we didn't quite talk about with that other one. I'm going to pop back over to it. That send notice to patron. So when we did that, if I can cycle back, just because we can see the button here and hopefully it doesn't confuse people. We did that. We requested the book from the library. We created the bib. We placed it on hold. But we'd also like to let Missy know in that case,
yes,
that the book is coming. So you do have this button that says, hey, it's ready for pickup. So that hold notification can be sent by the library through this button. I've gotten the book. I can send a notice as I'm getting it ready for her before I do that checkout. So there is a possibility of doing that.
Okay. So for those of you out there that are interested in getting started with this, we'll pause for a second to talk about the open source community. This is something that the community has really worked hard on to get set up in the system. But of course, why you're part of the open source community is to be able to give feedback. What do you see in here that would make the process go a lot smoother? So if you set this up to work with one of your neighboring counties or cities or even campuses, please let us know, what are some of the features you'd like to see moving forward get added to this ILL process?
Absolutely. I love the beginning, the foundation of this, and I think it's going to be amazing and life-changing for all those Koha libraries that are neighboring to each other, but everything can get better, and we love the feedback and we love to improve it as much as we can.
And remember, this is staff initiated only right now. This isn't visible on the Koha OPAC for the patron to initiate the request. This would be a staff member is initiating that request for the patron.
Absolutely. Well, Jessie, I'm looking forward to hearing from people and seeing how they like this feature.
All right, this is wonderful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to submit a ticket. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.